no entertainment industry is more secretive than video games, as while movies and TV shows are often shot on location where it's virtually impossible to prevent the general public snapping photos, games are much more often than not made in secure, air-conditioned offices where access to the average person isn't available. But you know what? These 10 video games went above all of the odds to preserve their biggest surprises, from fielding out misinformation to hungry fans, releasing extremely manipulative trailers, or keeping only the most necessary personnel in the loop. These were proper cloak and dagger situations. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 insane ways that video games were kept under wraps. Number 10. Its codename was Rock Band Nickelback, Rock Band Network. The Rock Band Network, or RBN, was a DLC service for the Rock Band series that launched in 2009, just before the Beatles' Rock Band hit the stores. Pre-release, developers Harmonix kept RBN a top-secret project, knowing full well that it had majorly lucrative potential by allowing music rights holders to add their own songs to the game if it was rolled out correctly. To keep unwanted attention away from RBN during its developmental phase, it was reportedly referred to as Rock Band Nickelback. And the reason why it was called Nickelback? Well, a New York Times interview explained things. The Rock Band network is so potentially consequential that Harmonix went to great lengths to keep its development secret, including giving it the unofficial in-house codename Rock Band Nickelback, on the theory that the name of the quintessentially generic modern rock group would be enough to deflect all curiosity. That is some next-level genius right there. Number 9. Ryden wasn't in trailers and reviews were strictly embargoed. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Hideo Kojima pulled off the bait and switch to end all bait and switches with Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. The highly anticipated sequel was aggressively marketed pre-release, with extensive trailers showing off Solid Snake battling soldiers on a tanker alongside the game's large array of colourful cast members. Konami even packaged a demo of the game with Zone of the Enders, only further intended to conceal its surprise twist, that being that you only play as Snake for the first hour or so of Metal Gear Solid 2. After this, the perspective switches to new protagonist Ryden for the remainder of the game, which takes place in an entirely different location. Though today it's practically impossible to imagine such a tectonic spoiler not leaking out ahead of time, MGS2 was locked down airtight pre-release, with Konami giving reviewers strict embargoes which prevented them from even hinting at the protagonist swap. But of course, you got to remember, at the time Metal Gear Solid 2 had a number of things on its side. Global internet adoption wasn't nearly as widespread in the late 90s and early 2000s when the game was in development, nor did everyone even have a mobile phone in their pocket, making it easy to anonymously capture spicy gameplay footage, making the shock reveal all that more delicious. Number 8. The lead writer didn't even discuss the game with his family. Assassin's Creed 3. Plot leaks often occur when one in-the-know party casually reveals something to a friend or acquaintance who then decides to put that information online. Though these leaks are easy to fake and therefore often dissected, debated, and debunked, there are many text dump leaks that have turned out to be 100% accurate, and which must be a major source of frustration for the developers. A few hours into Assassin's Creed 3, the protagonist that you think you're going to be playing as is swapped out for Connor, a hugely unexpected twist which Ubisoft and the game's key creative personnel went to concerted lengths to prevent leaking out. The game's lead scriptwriter, Corey May, said in an interview that beyond coordinating with the marketing department to ensure promotional materials didn't inadvertently give anything away, he didn't even discuss the game with his family or friends, no matter how private the circumstances. Considering the notoriously leak-prone nature of the franchise, it's an understandable stance to take, though given the years it takes to bring a game from concept to release, it must have been incredibly tough not to talk to anyone outside of the developmental bubble about this game. But he wasn't the only one, as the dev teams themselves were committed to not leaking the surprise, even going so far as to only play portions of the game that they worked on and skipping over others that they didn't. Now that is commitment. Number 7. A fake legend was created to trick data miners. Apex Legends. One of the most reliable ways for games to get leaked is for players to data mine demos for references to the story and the gameplay, or in the case of live service games, data mine the existing game code for hints at future content drops. But given the prevalence of data mining related leaks in recent years, developer Respawn Entertainment got one step ahead of fans with Apex Legends by deliberately including fake information in the game data. So early last year, data miners noted the existence of an apparently new character in the game called Forge, but both the character information and concept art included in the game update was deliberately planted there by a misdirect thanks to Respawn. Designer Jason McCord said, "We actually purposely leaked faked concept art and details of Forge's kit in patches so that there would be a breadcrumb trail by the time that we announced him. It's pretty insane really, I can't think of any other game that has gone through such hijinks." But Respawn clearly weren't satisfied yet, as they completed their trolling of data miners in mesmerizing fashion by releasing an apparent introductory video for Forge, which promptly ended with him being stabbed to death by Reverend, the real new legend that was going to be introduced to the game. Above all else, it taught everyone a lesson, and that is not to believe everything they see. Number 6. Keanu Reeves was disguised with stand-ins and codenames. Cyberpunk 2077. Back at E3 2019, CD Projekt Red made the shock announcement that Keanu Reeves would be appearing in Cyberpunk 2077 as the game's co-protagonist Johnny Silverhand. It was a reveal so shocking that fans immediately began discussing how the company had possibly been able to keep such a high-profile casting under wraps and away from leakers. As it turned out, Reeves' involvement was on a strictly need-to-know basis, and even the creator of the original Cyberpunk tabletop RPG was only clued into Reeves being hired a few short months before the E3 reveal took place. Yet the real threat wasn't so much the game's own dev team, but the notoriously leaky E3 weekend itself, which has often seen huge reveals leak out from rehearsals taking place mere days prior. To combat this, Xbox boss Phil Spencer explained that Reeves was referred to by a codename amongst the show's crew, and a stand-in was used for him during rehearsals. Reeves was only present at the Microsoft Theatre from the morning of the show, never went out on stage prior to the live broadcast, and spent most of his time at the theatre hidden in the green room backstage. Not bad at all. Number 5. Keiji Inafune developed them behind Capcom's back, Dead Rising and Lost Planet. Unlike almost every other game on this list, Dead Rising and Lost Planet weren't developed in total secrecy to prevent leaks hitting the presses, but actually to conceal their development from the publisher Capcom themselves. In a 2011 interview, the creator of both franchises, Keiji Inafune, confessed that he was forced to take extreme measures to ensure that his vision for the game was actually brought to market. Inafune and his team had made prototypes for both games, which were eventually cancelled by Capcom, who wanted to focus instead on developing sequels to existing IP. But a frustrated Inafune wasn't one to be deterred, deciding instead to keep working secretly on both games. And so, when he went back to Capcom bigwigs with a polished vertical slice of each title on which he had spent considerable time and money, they didn't have much of a choice but to oblige him. This was of course massively risky on Inafune's part, and by his own admission he was willing to be fired for his actions, but he felt a deep desire to resist Capcom's sequel mandate. It evidently paid off, as both Dead Rising and Lost Planet quickly became lucrative franchises. Number 4. Phil Spencer rehearsed with a fake script. Xbox Series X. The Xbox Series X received a shocking, totally unexpected announcement at the end of the Game Awards 2019, which stunned every industry analyst who had heard barely a peep about the console's unveiling. Nothing in the way of rumors, prototype schematics, or much of anything else had made their way online, and it was later confirmed that beyond the necessary personnel, namely producer, host Jeff Keighley, most of the production crew were kept in the dark. Phil Spencer admitted that he actually read a phony script about Xbox Game Pass during rehearsals to ensure that any inquisitive ears hanging out while the show was being rehearsed didn't spoil the surprise early. This subterfuge led to surely the most surprising out-of-nowhere console reveal in modern times, so it was nothing if not a big win for the Microsoft camp. Number 3. QA testers were put in windowless rooms, Mortal Kombat and Injustice. The widening dialogue about crunch culture in games development in recent years has shone a light on the conditions under which games are created and indeed polished. There have been countless exposés about unreasonable, even illegal practices inflicted upon artists, programmers, and QA testers working on major AAA games, and in 2019, one such piece took aim at NetherRealm Studios, the team behind Mortal Kombat and the Injustice games. The report from US Gamer released just a few days after Mortal Kombat 11 hit stores, and included allegations from employees who worked on Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and Injustice 2 that they were wildly overworked and indeed underpaid. One of the more curious claims, though, refers to the QA department, who, per the delicate nature of their job, which is to comb through every aspect of the game, were put in windowless rooms, which were, in their words, box-like and similar to a renovated garage, in order to perform their duties. Though it is common for AAA games to be developed within a contained environment to curb the potential for leaks, would it really have killed NetherRealm to put their testers in a room with one-way glass, or so that at least they could see outside but nobody could see in? Jeez. Number 2. Digitally altering character models in the trailers. The Last of Us Part 2. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has gone to truly absurd lengths to prevent audiences from being spoiled, even cooking up fake footage for their trailers and using CGI to digitally edit spoilerific imagery. Naughty Dog took a page out of their book then, it seems, during the marketing campaign for The Last of Us Part 2, which obviously has the big twist and spoilers incoming. I'll wait a few seconds, cursory here. The protagonist Joel is killed about 2 hours into the 25-hour epic yarn. The game's 2019 release date reveal trailer showed a clip where Ellie is grabbed from behind by an unseen figure, who is then revealed to be Joel, but in the final version of the game, Ellie is actually grabbed by Jesse. Additionally, other trailers were edited to imply that Ellie's girlfriend would be killed rather than Joel, and that Joel and Ellie's ages were digitally altered to prevent fans from figuring out which scenes were flashbacks and which were present day. It was certainly effective in throwing fans off the scent, though it did understandably leave many feeling that they were misled, and that they falsely advertised a Joel-centric sequel that wasn't to be. Whether you felt bamboozled or not, you have to commend the immense effort by Naughty Dog here. It's a shame then that there was actually a huge leak that spoiled the entire thing a few months prior to release. Oh well. And number 1, it was developed under the working title Project Ogre. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. In November 2011, Hideo Kojima announced a new video game project by the codename of Project Ogre, while tweeting out a work-in-progress gameplay screenshot from the title and confirming that the game would be a 100-hour open-world title. Though Kojima is of course synonymous with the Metal Gear Solid franchise and the screenshot didn't look entirely dissimilar to the series, the game's open-world design and non-cinematic style sounded just different enough to convince many fans that it was indeed an entirely new IP. Kojima continued to drop cryptic hints about the game being centered on a metaphorical ogre, and declared that it was quite different when compared to the Metal Gear Solid series. He later insisted that it was completely unrelated to his Metal Gear Solid Project Ground Zeroes, leaving fans to ponder for a time what the hell he was cooking up. Roughly a year after the initial Project Ogre image was posted, Kojima finally dropped a trailer for the fruit of his labor, an apparently new IP called The Phantom Pain, which in a new trailer released a few months later was finally confirmed to indeed be the one and only Metal Gear Solid 5. And the lesson here, my friends, is clearly do not trust Hideo Kojima as far as you can bloody throw him. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 insane ways that video games were kept under wraps. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, that's Dice with a C, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, and it'd be great to see you over there. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. I hope that you are well, my friend. I hope that you're treating yourself with love and respect, because you goddamn well deserve both of those things. You deserve all the good things in life, and don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, alright? You're a massive ledge. Now go out there and smash your life goals today. I believe in you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.